So alright, boys and girls, welcome to today's video. I have some new injectors I had ordered, and I really don't know what I'm supposed to get. So I ordered some that I thought would be the right ones. So let's give them a test here and see. I hadn't opened them yet, I'm actually opening them now. Let's see what we got. They're eBay, they're a knockoff, no name. I can get you the information on them. I think they're going to be too long, maybe. I'm going to pull off the fuel rail and test fit one of them just to see, and we'll go from there. But yeah, let me knock that out. These fuel rails go on pretty weird. They're not kind of awkward actually. So let me get some silicone lubricant and we'll try this thing. So something I found that works really well is the PB Blaster makes a silicone lubricant. It's the green writing on it, or green looking can, this job. And so I always spray just a little, well, a lot on the O-rings. And that, I do this on hoses too. This doesn't appear to be the right O-rings. It may be. Definitely a tight fit. It acts like it would be the right one. It's super. There we go. Definitely a tight fit on the O-ring, but I think it's correct. Now let's see how the injector fits. Just trying to push it through. Try it on it. My goodness. I mean, it's close, but I don't know. Try another hole, maybe. I feel like that should be it, but almost wants to cut the O-ring. I think I got it right there. All right, let's try the fuel rail and let's see if that will go on it. I don't know about these things, man. No, it's not the right top. It's not the right thing. Nope. I just don't feel like it's right. I don't know, let me try to fit these things on. The gasket or the seal way down here actually feels right. It's just so far down. It actually fits. Let me fool with it for a minute and see what I can come up with, because it's kind of awkward. Can't make up my mind if this is right or not. They almost fit, but not quite, maybe. And the O-rings that went on this thing was real rough too, so maybe it's just a fighting with it for a minute kind of thing. So, all right, here we go. It looks like they went in good. It took a minute to, I had to like lube them up and try to get them to go in. I finally got them to sink in. They look good, actually. My thing is the top, I can't make up my mind about when it actually goes in the top. It doesn't feel like they seat good, and this is a fixed position, so I can't adjust it up or down so it lives where it lives. I did maybe like pull it down and lock it. It might have gained something that way, but there's only one on each side. It doesn't have a center one on these top. Actually, you can do a center feed where it, you know, feeds the fuel rail up the middle, or a gauge or something. I really don't know just yet. Do I think it's gonna leak? I don't know. I don't know. With the way it's set up, the O-rings almost like didn't go up into the rail. They pushed up against the hole in the rail. And the bottom seal, maybe we can see this way, but the bottom seal actually does go right up against the hole. But if fuel had a lot of pressure, would it push out? I think it could if it gets by. So I don't really know. I think the fuel could get by the bottom ring if it gets past the first one, but we'll only be able to tell when we add fuel to it. So that's together. Can I put the bolts in it with the fuel rail on? I don't know. I hope so, because I don't have to take that back off, because as long as the injectors can stay, the rail seemed pretty easy, and the tops of the rail, I think that'll be okay. As long as the injectors get to stay, that was the hard part. So if they stay, the rail should be easy to just pop off and put back on. So it definitely looks a lot better than what the factory stuff's going to, so I think we're gonna rock that. So, all right, here we go. So another eBay item, max speeding, however you want to pronounce it. We bought us, this is the 4th turbo we've bought from them. 3rd maybe the 3rd or 4th, either way. We have purchased another one. So Art got one, my son got one, I got this one, and maybe the 3rd. This may be the 3rd one we've got. So what we're doing, there's our sticker, we're doing a budget build minus the ECU and the harness. So the ECU and the harness, you know what we've ran into on the S14. So with everything else, we're going to run the inexpensive parts, max speeding, let me get this tool out of here. The max speeding rods turbo, the MCC loyalty intake, which I bought that thing forever ago, and the Power Go, I think that's how it goes. Yeah, Power Go Motorsports turbo manifold, which is schedule 40. So this thing's a monster. So we could run a ton of boost through that thing with no issues. As thick as this thing is, I believe if it fits well and all that, if I have any issues with this later, with the S14, and if we decide to put a built motor, I would run this. I mean, I would run the Power Go manifold if it fits well. I hadn't really gasketed up or ran the turbo on it yet, but honestly, I would probably rock that manifold with some decent amount of power. I'd say easy 400 to 600 plus, maybe. You know, that thing's made right. And so now we have another Max Peating turbo. All right, that's going to be what we run on this. I forget the numbers on this one. I will look before everything's said and done. I will actually get the numbers on this, and I think it's rated at like either 500 or 600 horse. I didn't go where, maybe even 4 something. I did the 4-bolt flange on it, and I will do the 4-bolt to the downpipe, and as usual, everything looks great. You know, even though they're inexpensive, these things feel great. I don't know how long they'll last or anything, but I mean, as far as the looks and everything, even if this thing, you know, all the bearings went out of it, if I could rebuild this with, you know, what, name brand parts or whatever, I mean, this thing looks great. It's got the anti-surge housing and stuff. I mean, honestly, man, as long as the bearings survive and we can keep it oiled. And I did get the one that's oil and water, so we will try to plumb some water into these things just to give it that extra something, you know. So yeah, honestly, I think these turbos look great, and you know, obviously we're on our third one, so we will get this mocked up on the turbo manifold, and I hope I got the same flange. This is actually a divided manifold, but I've done my research, and you can use a divided manifold on an open turbo. A lot of people's done it, so I didn't, you know, do something that I didn't understand or couldn't comprehend. I researched that, and several people have done that, so with no issues. So I did research that from best I could find. That, you know, and I am running, again, I'm doing some cheaper parts, inexpensive. I don't really want to call them cheap. I mean, they look great. They're made with, looks like quality to me. But the things you can't see, maybe where the cheaper prices. I mean, I paid like $140 for this turbo. You know, the manifold, I paid a couple of hundred. I paid less than $300, I think, for that manifold. And it's a Schedule 40 stainless manifold. You could barely even, may not even be able to buy the actual material for that price. With the collectors and the flanges, I think some of these flanges are $60 for the actual flange for the head, you know. But I am going to monitor it with a wideband to try to do all I can. The injectors are an inexpensive injector, a brand that I don't know. You know, not your popular brands that you see all the time on other YouTube channels and stuff. I'm going to run the inexpensive stuff. What I did do, I bought the wiring harness to simplify everything, and a lack of communication, a lack of my knowledge, I think, was a lot of it. So ultimately we end up having to use the ECU Masters Black. Well, I decided if I've got to tune a 2JZ, I'm going to boost this jewel. You know, I'm not going to run a stock 2J when I have to pay to have it tuned, when I have all the stuff to set up for turbo minus, you know, I didn't have the turbo, I didn't have the injectors, and a few other miscellaneous stuff, things that I didn't have, but I had the turbo manifold, I had the intake, you know, why not? You know, I'm there, it'll fit. I even have the intercooler and piping and everything for this car. I might have to get 1 or 2 small pieces to go where we had run it for the 1J. We may have to reroute a piece or two, which I shouldn't on the intake side now that we're going to run the front facing manifold, but I do have to get a bigger collector because that 90mm auto body's way bigger than the stock 1J. And on the other side, coming off the turbo, that'll be pretty close. I mean, it depends on how we have to render it, you know. But I think it'll be pretty close. I am worried about the downpipe with the fuel lines right there. I may have to change all the fuel lines, but I've got a lot of the stuff. I have a lot of actual plumbing supplies and stuff. I sell that stuff on eBay myself. If you want to go to Chesser Motorsports on eBay, you can see I have quite a bit of the plumbing stuff there. I've got several things. It's scattered. Don't be surprised if you see some tennis shoes or fishing stuff. But I've got a lot of things on there, and some of our merch is on there, and that type of thing. But this is where we're at with it, so it just made sense to add the parts in, but I've already got 2 other builds going. So I've got to do my son's, I've got to finish my actual, our S13 with all the expensive parts. And my IS300 is just sitting there. It just needs to be tuned. That's the only thing left. So this one just made sense to, if I had to buy anything, just buy cheap stuff, inexpensive stuff, and make a go of that. And so literally a few miscellaneous parts between the piping and just some random stuff we'll run into, fittings maybe having to change the fuel lines, and tuning it. I mean, I don't have to buy a lot of other components to put this setup together. So, made sense. So, all right, here we go. Mocking everything up just to see what parts I'm missing on this whole scenario. So far, I'm going to need, on the back side of that fuel rail, it's so close to the firewall, I'm going to have a 90 and go to the fuel line. That's got to happen. But it's just so close, there's no way I can come out and bring that line in and like try to 90 the hose itself. It's going to crimp it. So I have to get an actual fitting, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Radium makes one that's swivel style fitting and it has barbs sticking out. That'll actually be perfect. I was thinking I remember seeing that with their fuel rail kit. And have to put a barb on this side as well, maybe a plug in the middle somewhere, or I may run the line up under the rail. I'm still fishing through all this stuff. And the exhaust, I'm going to have a 4-bolt flange downpipe. I might actually get an adapter, the 4-bolt to the V-band, so that way I hook the V-band up, I can swivel the exhaust pipe a little bit. I've got some play. So I may do that. I've seen that there's an adapter for that. And just figuring out the fuel lines, the fuel hookup. I have to drop the pan, drill and tap that, get it ready for the turbo. Get the fuel or the feed lines and return stuff figured out. And the injectors are probably going to leak. I don't know why, but I just feel like they're going to. I just don't think they're going to seal right on top. I just don't think they're right. That's a big investment to not know and them leak and then not know where to go after that. So, see what we can come up with. I feel like they're going to leak though. I don't know, but I feel like it. Let's hope they don't. I hope they don't, but I don't see that they're not going to. I can probably adjust the height on them studs. They're screwed all the way in. That would push it away. It needs to go in further if they go out. Anyway, I'm mocking it up, going through. I got to get me a material list of what's missing, what's got to be there, what's not. But it actually looks pretty good. It's a 3582 is what that turbo is. So that, hopefully that thing will be pretty responsive for this setup. A couple 300 horse, man, that thing should be plenty of power to sling this little car around. Might as well make a go of it. I had everything, so let's continue on with it from here, and I'll get a material list. We may work tomorrow on a rental or something, but at least today I can fool with it and try to see what I'm lacking as far as what has to be bought to add to this equation to finish this install. I've worked more on this car probably than any car I've ever worked on in my life. As crazy as that sounds, I literally have probably worked on this particular car more than any car in my life, and it's starting to get a little monotonous about it. But if you ever want a 2J swap in a 240, I've just about got it worked out. If I had to do it all over again, there's things that I would have made decisions prior to. First of all, I wouldn't have ever done it if I know what I know now. And I had an SR swap, bought me an SR, and maybe done something there, because it's, for the money I've spent, I probably could have bought an SR and just a plug and play and been done with it, honestly. I think I could have. But if I was building a motor, if I had a built motor, it would have been worth it. Having just a stock motor and the stock limitations, I don't know. We'll get it finished and we'll see what it's got, and then maybe it's one of those hindsight, man, that's the best car I've ever had, the fastest turbo car, it's perfect, you know. I don't know, we just gotta get from here to there and then we'll see what we got, but we're so far in it we can't turn back now. I don't even have a handbrake in it, or a hydro e-brake or anything in it. The IS300's sitting here sulking and wishing somebody would pay attention to it. It is what it is. I can only do one at a time. I've got rentals. The tuner hadn't called me back. I don't know. We'll get it figured out. So, all right, here we go. Well, that's it. I think I'm gonna call it a day. I've sat around and went through things and tried to find, like on the other end I have to have it's an ORB, I think it's an 8 and to a 90 on the other end of the rail because it's so tight back there. You can even find it back there somewhere. So up to the fuel line, I had to get an adapter from T4 to T3. Now I'm going to order it, I may have already ordered it, from the 4-bolt flange to a V-band. Now I've got to order a downpipe. And luckily I've got this one here to kind of, you know, see some of the stuff, the downpipe and some of the other things. You can definitely tell that's a way bigger turbo than this guy. Definitely a bigger one. See how the size of the housing and stuff. You may not be able to see the housing on this one, but the exhaust housing is humongous on this thing. But this is a way bigger turbo than the other one. So hopefully this one will spool faster. And it's got anti-surge housing. It should be a little peppy little car, so we'll see what we get. But I think I've about done all the damage I can do for today. Got me a material list, couple of parts. I may have to just get some stuff ordered. Then go do something else next couple of days till some parts come in, because I don't think there's really a lot I can do. I can drill the spot for the oil return And I do have a supply around here somewhere. I can run the supply, but I can't really do anything past that. Yeah, I can't even, I could probably put the intake, finish it up, but I have to have a coupling for the manifold, or for the throttle body to go to the intercooler. Quite a bit of stuff. There's a lot. It'll go quick. Pretty much it's just like putting the turbo accessories on. But I do have to drill and tap that and make sure I don't get any metal shavings or anything. So I'm gonna have to try to keep that clean, or may have to drop the cross member like I had talked about and just pull the whole pan off of it. So we'll get to that. We'll make a decision here on that. And as the parts come in, we'll start trying to put everything together. So, all right, here we go.